Important announcement this morning, guys, from T-Mobile. Although I hope not a surprise for our viewers, because I've certainly been talking about it for months now, given how many people close to this company have been indicating that John Legere was going to step down as the company CEO to be replaced by Mike Sievert, who's currently the president of the company. They've made it official, however, this morning. And for those perhaps who hadn't been following it as closely as others, it may be something of a surprise, though. May 1st will be, or April 30th will be the last day that John Legere, the highly successful and longtime CEO of T-Mobile, holds that job. He will be replaced by Mr. Sievert as the company's CEO. Sievert's new title will be president and CEO. Legere will remain, by the way, on the board of directors, but he will be free beyond that, of course, to pursue whatever it is he wants to. There'd been some talk, I'd been reporting on it as well, of his at least interviewing for the job, top job at WeWork. Very much unclear whether that would actually happen, and they've been looking at a lot of candidates there. But again, this was not unexpected. In reporting as closely as I was on the conversations that went on for quite some time between T-Mobile and the Department of Justice to try to iron out that consent decree that they finally agreed to. Many people around that had made it clear that Mr. Sievert was deeply involved in those conversations. They were very impressed with him, by the way, as well. And that they had all come away under the full impression that he was going to be taking over. And so this has been something they've been thinking about and talking about and planning for quite some time. Legere's contract does expire at the end of April as well. And, Jim, I've been trying to get people not focused on this, but focused on what really is the most important thing, which is the beginning of the trial, where the state AGs who oppose the transaction are going to have the chance to present their case. And that begins December 9th, right here in New York. The star witness, as I pointed out as well, is going to be Charlie Ergen, who they're going to be coming out saying, are you really going to represent a significant player in the wireless market in 5G and therefore a real fourth competitor? And obviously have a lot of questions about that. It should be very interesting. But that's the key here. Mr. Legere's leadership certainly has been incredibly important, but I think many shareholders already were under the anticipation that he would not be here once this deal is either completed or not. Let's call it next spring into next summer.
What I'm finding is that a lot of the component companies that do business with Huawei have made it so that because of the strictures, that Huawei fell behind. I mean, I think that this was something that people didn't feel possible. There are so many companies, American companies, that are embedded in 5G. Whether it be everybody, Qualcomm that's involved, Micron's involved, Marvell Tech's involved, and they've all been held back. I just think that if an American company wants to advance and do a lot with 5G, we know that Verizon's there talking. We know that AT&T's there talking. But, David, this is the company that they are positioning themselves as being the leader in 5G if you just let them get together. And I don't know how the balance sheet's so bad, but I've got to admit that Legere's been a great spokesman for the team. I don't know. I don't know where they really are in 5G. I don't know.
Well, they will have a great spectrum position, given Sprint's in particular. Spectrum is particularly good for that mid-band range that really is helpful in terms of 5G. It will require, as you say, a great deal of capital. By the way, that comes back to the argument when there are those who say Mr. Ergen's efforts are not as robust as they otherwise should be, because he's talking about trying to do it with $10, $11 billion. Many say that's just a drop in the bucket for what you really need in terms of actually creating a 5G nationwide network. Now, there will be more beyond that, but that's the number he's been sort of pointing to, at least in his public comments when I've seen him at the Goldman Sachs conference or at a couple of other places of late. We'll see. But the key is going to be December 9th. What happens to the deal itself? And remember, if in fact that deal is opposed, there's no extension of the merger agreement at this point. So while they are fully committed to it, and they just said so on the conference call just moments ago, T-Mobile, in terms of the Sprint deal, they can pull out at virtually any time. And that's got to be a key question for people. So we'll see how the trial goes when it begins 3 or so weeks from now and what happens. A lot of ramifications from it. The future of Dish, the future of Sprint being two of the key ones.
David, who is Sievert? Because we know who Legere is. Legere's a guy who actually rallied the rank and file. I mean, he's regarded as being a modern leader of our times. Sievert, is he following in the footsteps?
He is. I mean, he was hired in 2012. And in fact, Legere says, I hired him and I've mentored him as he took on increasingly broad responsibilities. He's well prepared, they say, to lead the company into the future. Has a deep understanding of where it's been, where it needs to go. I will tell you separately from the reading from a press release quote here from Legere that, again, the people that I spoke to who were involved in those key negotiations said he was, in their opinion, very strong in terms of his understanding of what needed to get done and making it happen.
Well, I mean, right now, John Legere's telling us, David, I don't know if you got that tweet, that he's talking about analysts right now. I mean, he kind of is a close follower, maybe a little closer than we are, of what we're saying. Very excited. Obviously, if it's his guy, he's happy to tweet to us. David, check your direct message. It's pretty positive.
I will. I know. That's how we communicate with John. Not that he ever tells us anything. But I did go back at him the last time, didn't I, Jim? And I said, I know you're getting replaced. When are you going to announce it? He didn't respond.
Well, I mean, you knew Sievert. You knew Sievert when Sievert was just... When Sievert was just a glint in his mother and father's eyes, you nailed Sievert. But I look at our direct message. It looks like John's still running the meeting, and he's not on a Peloton. And maybe he hung his jacket on a Peloton. Peloton's been coming back. We'll have to check.